Hey everyone, my name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm going to come talk to you today on this live stream about the top 5 tech and social media tips for people going through divorce. These are tips that I give my clients in Utah when they're going through divorce. We got a couple cameras here, so if I look up and down, just realize that's what's going on. So technology has become an increasingly important aspect of divorce simply because there's so much more technology out there, right? It's completely ubiquitous. We have cell phones, we have social media, we have email, we have text, we have 1,000 ways that people communicate with each other. And because of that, we need to be cognizant as divorce attorneys of how that affects our clients. So these are the top 5 tips that I give my clients to kind of help them keep themselves safe during divorce in technology and then the social media space here. So, okay, I'm going to click on these and there's going to be a banner underneath where my name is right now. And it's going to show you the tips. So let's get into the first one. And the first tip is to change your passwords and your PIN numbers. Okay. And just as just to let you know, I do divorce in Utah. Our office is in Sandy. So I'm giving this as kind of a general reference. I'm not giving you specific legal advice for your situation. You need to go to an attorney and get specific legal advice from that attorney. But hey, look, if you're in Utah and you need help with your divorce, like come to us. This is all we do. Coming up on 4,000 people helped. I'm a kid from Cold Bay, Alaska, grew up in a village of 85 people, made my way down here to Utah, started this place in 2010. Divorce is all we do, and we've helped thousands at this point. So if you do need help here in Utah, come to us. We're here for you. Number's 801-685-9999. All right, so tip number 1, change all the passwords, all your passwords and your PIN numbers. This is really, really important. The vast majority of the time, people do not change their passwords. They do not change their PIN numbers, which means that your ex or soon to be ex can get into your email, can get into your Apple account, which is a big one, let me tell you, can get into your Google account, can get into your Facebook, Instagram, all of your socials, get into all of your emails, can get into your phone as well. Like, your entire world is open to this person that you're about to get divorced from if you don't change your passwords and your PIN numbers. Okay. So I would do the same thing. The PIN numbers, I would do the same thing for, debit cards and credit cards as well, just so your soon-to-be ex can't use those items. But that's more of a financial thing than anything else. Really, on the tech side, you do want to change all the passwords. Okay. You just don't want to have this person having access to every piece of information about you. Okay. And we see this quite a lot in our cases. The soon-to-be ex really does go in and just does a dump on the emails, right? Goes in and reads every email that our client has written. And this may well be completely illegal under federal law, but it happens all the time. So don't let it happen to you. Go in, change these things. If you feel like this is dirty somehow, that you're trying to hide information, you're not. Judges are fine with this. They understand that you have a right to your privacy when you're going through divorce. So you can change these passwords. You're not going to get in trouble for this sort of stuff. Okay. Now, don't change your kids' passwords. I've seen that every once in a while. So the other parent doesn't have access to the kids' social media. That is a big no-no because both parents need access to the social media, but your soon-to-be ex does not need access to your emails, your text messages, your phone, your social media. So change all of the passwords. Okay, let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is really think about taking a break from all social media during your divorce. The reason I say this is social media is not real life, okay? Text, and this goes not only for social media, but texting as well. These things are not real life. You say things over social media that you would never otherwise say to human beings. Like I have received on social media, I've received death threats, I've received death wishes, I've received all sorts of just crazy, crazy stuff that no one literally my entire life has ever said to my face. Okay. And the reason I get these things is because I'm a divorce attorney and I talk about divorce. Okay. And then I get people wishing my death from cancer and, bowel cancer, which I think is kind of weird. But anyway, and death upon my family, but no human being ever says that to another human being when you're face to face. So you just say weird stuff, and all of that weird stuff can be used against you. So I think it's a better idea that you just chill out on social media during your divorce. Don't really post. Don't really do these things. We have the glare problem coming back, Dylan. Dylan's going to try to take care of this glare problem in just a second. And then also the other thing that happens on social media is that you get in fights with your in-laws, or maybe your soon-to-be ex has a new boyfriend or girlfriend, and you get into social media fights with a new boyfriend or girlfriend. That's insane. I see that all the time, though. It just really ratchets up the temperature, and it can be used against you as kind of these character flaws. And you don't really need to give your soon-to-be ex any more ammunition than he or she already has. So chill on social media during your divorce. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is don't delete anything from social media, text messages, or emails. Okay, if you start, that works. Okay. If you start a divorce and you go through and you realize, hey, I really said some bad things to my ex, and everybody says bad things to their ex, so it's okay. But if you think that's super embarrassing, I don't want that used in court, and you go delete it, that what we call in the legal circles spoliation. You're spoliating evidence. And that is a big no-no. Judges hate that because what they assume is that you're simply destroying all of the evidence against you, and then they don't trust you. Okay. So do not delete evidence, no matter how damning it is, no matter how bad it is, you do not delete it. Okay. What you do is you tell your attorney, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but you tell your attorney and your attorney can deal with it. But you absolutely do not delete social media posts. You do not delete emails. You do not delete text messages, nothing. That's spoliation. That'll get you in a world of hurt in your divorce. Okay, so that is tip number 3. Tip number 4, check your car for tracking devices. This has become increasingly a problem in divorces is the soon-to-be ex tracking the car, tracking your movements, okay? And this happens quite a lot. There's actually a law that was passed, I believe it was last year in the Utah legislature. It says you cannot put a tracker on somebody else's car unless you're a private investigator. So there's an exception for private investigators. And to be honest, we've used that exception. We track people in divorce sometimes when we know that they're using drugs and we need the evidence for that, or whatever it is, right? Cohabitation cases, we do this a lot in cohabitation cases because you need to know where the car is. Is the car at, and cohabitation is when you're already divorced and you think that your ex, to whom you're paying alimony, is shacked up with somebody else playing house with them, right? Essentially married to them, but they're not really married, to try to get around the alimony, termination. So, we use this, but we do it with private investigators because that's what's legal. But what we found is that lots and lots of people just pick up an AirTag, like an Apple AirTag, and put it in somebody's wheel well, right? Our client's wheel well, and then track them all over the place. Or, AirTags are they're so small. You can put them in purses, you can put them in backpacks, you can put them anywhere nowadays, and really, really track a person kind of 100% of the time. So not only your car is kind of the baseline, but you want to go and you want to check everything to make sure that there are no trackers on anything that you carry around. Yeah, Dylan.
Sorry, do you want me to ask the questions that are being answered, or the questions that are being asked on here?
Yeah, I can answer one or two before I get to number 5.
Just one.
Yeah.
It just
okay.
says, do these apply? Do all these apply if you're in a custody litigation as well?
Yeah. So when I say divorce, because we mainly do divorce, probably 90% of what we do here in Utah at Brown Family Law is divorce. Okay. But yeah, if you're going through a custody case, right, you were never married, then all of these apply. So I should have said that up front. I appreciate the question. But yeah, absolutely, all of these apply to custody cases and paternity cases. Yep.
Yeah, and then we'll answer questions probably at the end
Yeah.
for those of you who are asking more questions.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a Q&A at the end, so not a problem, but good question there. I appreciate that. Okay, so that is tip number 4. And then tip number 5, assume everything you write on social media over text or over email will be used against you in your divorce, right? It's like I'm reading a Miranda from Law and Order, the Miranda rights. But really, anything you say can and will be used against you in your divorce. People do not realize this. I've had so many people come into my office and talk to me and say, well, I mean, we said these things over text, but it's just over text, so it's never going to get in, right? I'm like, no, absolutely, it's going to get in. You texted this stuff to your ex, and this is not good. So yeah, they're going to use it. And then the other side assumes that we can't use text messages, but we can authenticate the text messages, right? I can get somebody on the stand and say, did you write this text message on this day and this time, and actually give them a physical copy of it. And they can't lie, so they have to say yes, and then it becomes authenticated, and then we can use it against them, right? So you have to assume that everything you say, everything you write, will be used against you. And there's a saying: say it, forget it, write it, regret it. That is absolutely true in divorce. People say naughty things to each other, but once you write down those horrible things you say, it's magnified 100-fold, right? There is nothing quite so powerful as being in a litigation, being in a trial, taking somebody's text message or somebody's email in which they call the other person horrible names, and having the person who wrote the email read the email during trial to the judge, because I can make them read it, right? And it's just devastating. Okay, so don't do that. Just be cognizant of the fact that anything you write can and will be used against you during litigation or during trial. Okay. All right. And then we got a bonus here, because I'm always giving you a bonus tip. Don't hide. Oh, I misspelled that. So don't hide social media, bad social media posts or emails or bad text messages from your lawyer. Do not do this. I've had this happen. I can't tell you how many times. They just don't tell me because they're embarrassed. Okay, I understand that you are embarrassed. We all get embarrassed as human beings. We say naughty things to our exes. That's just what happens. It's okay. We can take care of it, right? This is what we do all day long at Brown Family Law. We do divorce. That's it. Really, that's it. Okay, we know how to fix these problems and to help you out. But what we can't deal with, and what lawyers cannot deal with, is if you hide evidence from us. So if you don't tell us what's going on, then we can't help you. You are just going to get screwed. Okay, so if you have terrible text messages in which you threaten to take the children, run away to New York or I don't know, Brazil or Canada or something, and you don't tell us that, and then those come out during a hearing, then there's nothing we can do for you, right? That's the first thing that we've heard, first time we've heard about it. There's nothing we can do. We can't mitigate it at that point. We could try, but that's not really going to work that well. You have to be upfront with your lawyer. You have to tell your lawyer everything bad that you've done. Okay, do not hide these things. When you tell them, they are able to deal with the problem. When you hide information from them, they can't deal with the problem. You're going to just get murdered in court, and your attorney's probably going to fire you. I fired I don't know, countless numbers of clients who have withheld material evidence from me, and this is definitely material evidence. So don't hide anything. Just be super upfront with your attorneys about social media posts, emails, text messages, anything like that. They're going to be able to help you. Again, you hide it, they can't help you. Okay, so those are the top 5 tech and social media tips for people going through divorce, with that bonus on the end. Do we have any Q&A, Dylan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll start from the top.
All right, so we're going to move on to Q&A, and I'll make another banner here.
If my wife has strong medical issues, does it make sense to divorce, not to go bankrupt?
Oh, so this to me is almost more of a moral question than it is a legal question, so I'm going to answer it that way. I don't think that you should divorce your spouse simply for money purposes. Okay. I think marriage is much more than that. I'm a big proponent of marriage, actually. And I don't think you should be divorcing a spouse simply to get around some sort of monetary issue. So I never tell people to get divorced for those types of reasons.
My ex has been gone for 8 years. I have my children. How would a divorce work?
Yeah, so this is one that comes up pretty often, actually. So at this point, it's been 8 years, right? And you don't have anything together at this point. Yeah, I mean, you have kids, but they're not really together. He hasn't seen the kids, I'm assuming, or she hasn't seen the kids. So, but you don't have any debt together. You don't have any of these things. So really, what has to happen is you need to find your ex. Okay, maybe you go back to family, you do whatever, but you find your ex, where your ex is, and then you file for divorce, give your ex the papers. Very, very unlikely your ex would do much of anything about it because so much time has passed. Now, if you can't find your ex, there are ways that we can deal with that, whether that's trying to give service, give the documents to your ex over email or social media or text message, or by publication. So sometimes we actually go publish it in a paper because we just simply can't find the ex, and that's what the judge wants us to do. So there are ways that we can deal with that here in Utah.
Okay, and what happens when the other party is caught lying in financial disclosure?
Usually not a ton. So in Utah, what happens is each person has to provide financial disclosures. Okay. They have to say what they earn, how much they owe in taxes, what their debts are, what their assets are. So each spouse has to do that, because sometimes, there are a lot of marriages in which one spouse knows the money and the other spouse doesn't know the money, or both of them just live separate economic lives, and we have to figure that out. So each has to disclose. Now, if one spouse just simply lies about it, really what we're doing is we're catching them and we're getting the information. So we're going to say, no, look, you didn't give this information, give it to me. And there's probably not going to be any punishment for it. We just want the information to get out so we can then negotiate intelligently and get the case done. If it comes down to trial and it's been found that the person has lied throughout the entire litigation process about money, about debts and assets and so forth, and tried to hide things, then very likely the judge is going to lay the smack down on that person. And that might take the form of, increased assets to the person who didn't lie about financial disclosures, decreased debts, more alimony. It just really depends. Not so much the last one, but the first two. It really does depend on the judge. But there probably are going to be some sanctions if you get to trial and it comes out that the other person's just been lying about this the entire time. I've had cases like that where I went in and very matter-of-factly proved that the other person had been lying about the financial disclosures for 18 months, a year and a half, and that guy just got absolutely railroaded. So yeah, don't do that.
And I think this next one was asked during your fourth point.
Okay.
But it says, what if it's from a third person calling out said texts that were sent to her? I don't know if you can recall the context of that. Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So add to that and let me know what you mean, because I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. So okay, and move back because the sun's hit my nose.
On TikTok, I don't see any other questions right now.
Okay.
We'll give her some time to maybe rephrase her question if she wants to.
Okay.
But what circumstances have to be in place for me to be able to have the court force my ex closer to me?
Oh, to move closer to you? So the court is never, at least here in Utah, is never going to force somebody to move closer to you. What the court will do is, if you have children together, the court will say, well, the kids have to live within a certain number of miles from you, or they need to go to these schools, right? And so an elementary school and a feeder school and then a high school or something like that. So they'll do that for kids, but they're not going to tell an adult where the adult needs to live. So if you have kids and they say, look, the kids need to live within 10 miles of this spot, then the kids have to do that. And if the adult wants to go live in New York or Florida, the adult can do that. The adult has to realize that she's never going to see her kids. So that's how that's going to work.
Does it look bad to judges if dad never calls their daughter?
Yeah. So
She has
if,
temporary custody right now.
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So you have temporary custody. If dad, let's say the dad's going for like 50-50 custody and never calls and never really shows up to exercise time or talks to the daughter, then the judge is probably going to look at dad and say, hey, look, man, you don't even do the basic stuff. So why am I going to give you 50-50? So yeah, that can absolutely come back to bite you in the rear end.
Okay, no other questions for TikTok right now?
No? Okay. All right. So we've been on about 20 minutes. If we got nothing else, then we're going to end this. So I appreciate you being here. Hopefully these tips helped you out. If you need help with your divorce in Utah, give us a call. My name's Marco Brown, Brown Family Law. It's 801-685-9999. You can go check us out on the web too. It's www.utdivorceattorney.com. We're here for you. We'll get you through this. This is all we do. So again, if you need help with divorce in Utah, let me know. If you have questions, maybe we can answer those questions on the next live stream. So, DM me, do whatever you need to, ask me questions, and I'll get those on. So appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.